just prayer. Simple just prayer.
some people will receive. Let us all chant the Mangalacharya prayers together. Om Ajnana-Timirandasya Jnananjana-Shalakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-Manobhustam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Tadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruha Shintapadakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam-Shya Shri Rupam Savridatam Sahagamarunapantam Tam Savivam Sadhaitam Sadhutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagamarunika Shri Shadhanvitam Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Nirabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Tanta Radha Tanta Namaste Tattva Chandrorangi Radhe Vindare Kuri Shabhano Kujevi Namami Hanikye Vamsa Upakalubhesha Kripasi Dhubhitevata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravantarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So good evening everyone. We heartily welcome you all to this Sunday Bhagavad Gita class program. Today we are starting I'll be speaking on the verses of chapter 2nd, verses 31 and 37 through 37, but not exactly on these verses. I'll be setting the context for this verse. In the next session, we'll be actually reciting the verses and also trying to understand what the verses mean. The topic today is the juices of life, the pleasures of life. So we all are looking for pleasures of life, aren't we? Everyone, right? Nobody in this world nobody in this world is not looking for pleasures of life, right? I don't think there is anybody in this world who says, I want sadness in life. We all look for the pleasures of life. There are certain kinds of pleasures that in the material world can give you satisfaction in the beginning and miseries in the end, and the reverse is also true. So for example, we can drink Karela juice, right? How many of you here like Karela juice? Not many people. Why? Because it tastes very bitter in the beginning, but it is very healthy for the health. So it gives you very good effects later on, so even though initially it feels very, very bitter to drink. Similarly, we have many other kinds of juices like mango juice or sugarcane juice. They taste very good in the beginning, but they can actually have very bad side effects on your health if you take it in excess, right? So this is the nature of the material world, that here we have to do things under control. So what are these pleasures that we are looking for? For example, a student studies entire day, right? Entire day a student is studying, going to school, waking up early before that. Some students are in higher grades, so they wake up very early. They study and then they go to school, and then they come back home. They have no rest. They'll again go to some tuitions and so on. They'll do some homework. After that, they want to relax. That is also some sort of pleasure that they are seeking. What they would do, normally some students can start playing video games. Some students may go out and play something. So they want some pleasures in life. Similarly, a person goes to office, works entire day. There are different kinds of work people are doing. Some people, let's say for example, are in software engineering. They have a lot of mental work. Some people are there in some other industries where they have to do physical work, right? At the end of the day, when they come home, they also want to relax, want to have some pleasure in life. So they will turn on the TV, sit in front of the TV and watch some videos, something, some news maybe, some bhajan kirtan, something they want to do. Or they will just, look at some videos which will give them some pleasure. At least that's what is that they are thinking, that it will give them some pleasure. People also like to eat variety of food, right? How many of us are here who don't like to eat variety of food? Right? We all like to eat varieties of food. Why? Again, there also we are searching for some sort of pleasure. Normally, we will not like to eat, like say, boiled vegetables or simple food every single day for the rest of our lives. We will not like that. We will always want to have some sort of variations every single day of life. Even 3 meals that we eat in our life every single day, we want variations in that. I may not like same breakfast every day. It becomes boring after a while. So we look for pleasures in food as well. People also look for pleasures for sightseeing by doing some sightseeing. So, for example, people will go to some abroad places like Switzerland or Europe or US, Australia, Canada. They go there, and what are they again trying to do? They are again trying to seek some pleasure. Pleasure that comes from visiting these places. They also want variety. So a person may visit Switzerland, but after a certain time they may get bored. So they want some more pleasure, so they will probably go to US. These days nobody wants to go to Dharma in India, right? People don't want to go there because it's very boring for them. So people do this kind of pleasure seeking as well. People also smoke, they drink, all kinds of things they do, nasty things they do. Again, why are they doing this? For some pleasure. At least they feel that they are getting some pleasure, right? However, there are certain problems with the pleasure that we get in this material world. Right, so there are 3 problems that we get. The Mother Earth, planet Earth, is called as Prithvi. Right? It comes from the root word called Parthiv. Parthiva. Parthiva means things. And on this planet, on the material realm, we try to get pleasure from things. And there are 3 problems with the pleasure that we try to get from things on this planet. The 3 problems or the 3 characteristics of these pleasures are: the pleasure is very short-lived. We all can relate to this, right? We all can relate to this. Whatever pleasure we want to seek in anything that we do, food, travel, whatever we do, even watching TV, it is very short-lived. Second problem with the pleasure in the material world is the pleasure fades away very quickly. For example, each one of us can relate to this, that at some point in our life, we may be liking some movie song, some Bollywood song. Everyone goes through that phase. We may be singing that song every single day, waking up in the bathroom. For a few days, we will be singing that song throughout the day also. But after a while, we feel bored with that song also, right? No matter how good that song is. Which is an example that pleasure that we get from that song fades away in a month's time or so, maybe in a week's time or so. And the third important characteristics of the pleasure in the material world is it eventually leads to misery. Eventually, every single pleasure that we think we are getting pleasure in the material world eventually causes misery. This is the third important characteristic, right? And why does this happen? Why does this happen? Why is this that we have these 3 characteristics of pleasure in the material world? That it is short-lived, it fades away, and then it eventually leads to misery. The reason for this is that in the material world, these pleasures we think that it's coming from things, but the pleasure is actually in the mind only. I can prove you with very simple examples. So, for example, the attributes of pleasure in the material world is it is illusory in nature, right? It is all illusion basically. And I can give you two very simple examples. For example, let's say there is a feast going on and there are 10, 15 very good items that are prepared in the feast. Okay? And let's say you sit to eat the feast, very excited to eat all those 10 kinds or 15 kinds of items. You want to taste it. Okay? Suddenly somebody delivers a very bad news to you. For example, if you are a student, you have completed your exam and now you are sitting down to eat the feast, somebody delivers a very bad news that you failed in the exam. Now you tell me whether you will really savor the food, the feast that you wanted to eat before you heard the sad news. Before you heard the sad news, you were all very excited to eat the feast, right? But the moment you heard the sad news, what happened? Did anything change in the food? Nothing. The food is still the same. Let's say you had gulab jamun in the food, you had some halwa in the food. It is still the same, right? The qualities of the gulab jamun, the halwa is still the same. What changed then? Something has changed in your mind. Somewhere, something has changed. The bad news has caused disturbance in your mind. And that disturbance is manifesting in that food which you now don't want to eat. Or even if you eat, you may eat very less. And you will be ruminating in that thought that, okay, I have failed in my exam, now what am I going to do? All kinds of thoughts will come. What will my friends think? What will my, relatives think? Oh, I lost 1 year maybe. If you are in 10th grade, 12th grade, whatever. So all these kind of things will really spoil your mood. It's all in the mind. So the food being the same, we will end up not liking the food at all. Even though before the sad news was delivered, we were ready to eat the food very nicely and maybe very sumptuously, and lot of food also we wanted to eat. But after we heard the news, we probably don't want to eat at all, or we eat very less. This is one example. So the pleasure that was coming from the food, what we thought, was actually never in the food at all to begin with. Another example, similar example I can give, is that let's say somebody sat down to eat food, somebody is serving the food, and that person who is serving the food behaves in a bad way. So he says to the person who is going to eat the food, he says, okay, come on now, eat the food like a pig. That person, let's say his normal diet, or her normal diet, let's say in one meal is 2 kgs. Let's assume that the person eats 2 kgs of food in one meal. Now after listening to the word pig, that person will become so conscious that he or she will not eat the food. The 2 kgs or whatever food that he or she is accustomed to eat every single day, will not eat the food. Maybe that person will get up and go, or maybe the person will eat only maybe 200 grams, 300 grams of food. So again, what was the problem? The food was not the problem. The food is still the same. The problem was really in the mind. The idea that he was taught as a pig, that created a lot of disturbance in the mind, and that caused the problem. In the pleasure that he was going to get from the food, that he was thinking that it is there in the food, but it was actually not there in the food. It's just an illusion. So that is one of the characteristics of material pleasure. It's illusory in nature. Okay? So what is the lesson that we learn? Material nature is actually so strong that it will somehow lure you to think that there is pleasure in things, even though there are no pleasure in things. That is the nature of material. Material nature, the Prakriti has that nature, that it will try to tell you something which is not. The word Maya itself means something which is not. The literal meaning of word Maya means something which is not. So, when we seek pleasure into food or into sightseeing or whatever, movie or whatever, the pleasure is actually not there in that thing, it is all in the mind. Okay, so this is one thing. Second thing is material pleasure is very stale. It's stale in nature. For example, in Shastras it is given Puna Punaha Charvita Charvana Nam, meaning chewing the chew. So in material nature what happens is, we can take a very gross example of this. If somebody is eating bubble gum, right? The person eats bubble gum for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That person will get the sweetness of that bubble gum for, let's say, 20-30 minutes, right? Maybe 2 hours also. Some people will be eating for 2 hours. Even though there is no sweetness left, they will be still eating. Now that person throws the bubble gum. Somebody else picks it up and tries to eat it again, thinking that maybe there is some sweetness left in that bubble gum. So they will pick it up and try to chew it again and keep chewing. But there is actually no sweetness. It was not there for the first person also to begin with. Only for 15-20 minutes it was there. This is one example of chewing the chewed. Second example is, so we have this sugarcane juice, right? We have seen sugarcane juice, people there, we have many stalls on the road. They will try to squeeze the sugarcane juice from that machine. So they will put it one time, first time they put a lot of juice will come out. From the other side they'll take, again they'll put a lot of juice, little bit juice will come out. Then they'll take again, third time, fourth time, fifth time, till the last drop, they will keep doing that. This is called chewing the chew. This is how the material nature is. Actually, everything becomes very stale in material nature. You can think of anything. You can think of food, sightseeing, sleeping, watching movies. Everything becomes very stale, very quickly. Studying also becomes stale. Doing job becomes stale. Everything becomes stale, very, very quickly. We will get very bored. So this is the second nature of material nature. Okay, the third thing is, the pleasures in the material nature is flickering in nature. It is very temporary or it is very momentary. So we can take an example of, say, let's say we want to buy some phone. Everybody will have some desire to buy a certain kind of phone. So I may have a desire to buy, let's say, iPhone. You may have Prabhu to desire to buy a fancy Samsung Galaxy phone or something like that. Okay. We can have examples of somebody having a desire to buy a fancy car, whatever. And I'm sure you can all relate to this. Have you not felt the excitement to own that phone before you actually own the phone? You are feeling very excited, right? I will have this iPhone, or I will have this, 1,50,000 rupees Samsung Galaxy phone, whatever. Or I will buy this 25 lakhs car. That excitement will be there. It's there in the mind only, right? I will do so and so things with my iPhone. I will flash it to the public. I will get the status from the public that I have this. I am a well-settled guy. I will, zoom through that car to some neighborhood and flash the car to the people, and I will tell them, I will show them that I am a very successful person, right? It's all in the mind. I have not purchased the car yet. I have not purchased the iPhone also yet. It's all there in the mind only. The excitement, the pleasure is all in the mind only, till now. Now, when we go and actually purchase that iPhone, or that car, or anything for that matter, do you think that you have the same excitement what you had before? The moment you have the phone in your hand, the new phone that you were always excited to buy, the moment you have it in the hand, do you have the same excitement that you had before? Nothing. It just dies off. The moment you sit in your new car and you bring home, maybe momentarily you will have that pleasure to flaunt it to the people and whatever. But the moment 1 or 2 days passes, you think, okay, yeah, sure, it's just a car. And suddenly if you see maybe a new car from your neighbor, which is the Mercedes-Benz, then suddenly you start feeling all kinds of anxiety. Or, all the status and all those things goes in the air. So what is this again telling us? That in material nature, the pleasure is very flickering in nature. It does not stay for very long. So these are some of the examples that we can think of. Even in Shastra this is mentioned, one of the Goswamis, one of the previous acharyas, his name is Govinda Das Kaviraj Goswami, he has written one very nice bhajan about this. And there he says, he gives an analogy of the lotus leaf, right? I am sure you all have seen the lotus leaf. And in the lotus leaf, if you have seen, if you sprinkle water or if you see some water on the lotus leaf, it will be not sticking on the lotus leaf, right? It's just rotating on the, it's not moving. And if there is a slight air, the water will fall off. So the pleasure in the material realm or in the material world is just like that. It is like rotating here and there. It's very flickery in nature, and in a whisk of time it will just flow away. It will just go away. It's called chapala sukha, meaning the pleasure that comes in a temporary way, in a flickering way. He calls it as chapala sukha. So in the actual verse is kamala dala jala jivana tanamala. Kamala dala jala means there is a kamal dal, which is the leaf, and there is water drops on it. And jivana talamala, the jivan, the life of the human being is talamala. It's like, always here and there, here and there. And the water drops on that is very flickering, it just can go off anytime. So we have that chapala sukha, he says in that version. Chapala sukha means momentary sukha, fleeting sukha. Right? So this is the third nature of the sukha or the pleasure that we try to get in the material world. Now, once we experience this, we realize that okay, there should be something more than this, right, in life. So I want to actually experience pleasure, but not this kind of pleasure, which has these three problems. So I would want to go to the next step now. So we go to in Shastras, in Vedas, there are three kinds of khandas or kandas are described. Kanda means divisions. So there are three kandas that are described. So far, before I proceed, so far we have seen Parthiva Rasa. Whatever rasa we have seen, the juice or the pleasure that we have seen so far is called Parthiva Rasa. Parthiva means the word that comes from Prithvi, or the root word for Prithvi. And this rasa is called Parthiva Rasa. And we know the nature of this rasa so far. We have studied some examples. And the human being wants to go away from this or want to experience a better rasa. So in Shastras, Vedas, we have three different kinds of khandas or divisions. First one is called Karma Kanda. Here the goal is to achieve pleasure. Again, it's coming as pleasure. And there are certain activities that are prescribed in Shastras or Vedas. There are four things that are described in or three things that are described for this Karma Kanda. One is the sins, So it washes away our sins. Whatever certain activities that are prescribed, certain rules and regulations that are prescribed, or some yajnas are prescribed, if we do them, it washes our sins. So for example, we have there are many kinds of yajnas called Mahamrityunjaya yajna. You might have heard about this. Mahamrityunjaya yajna, Sarpadosha yajna, Kala dosha yajna. Many such kind of yajnas are prescribed. And people do this kind of yajnas to remove their sins and to benefit, to get some benefit out of the problems that they are facing in life. However, there is one problem with this approach is that in Kali Yuga, although all these things mentioned are, they are all bona fide things to do, but in Kali Yuga to perform this kind of yajna is very difficult. Because first of all, we need to have a bona fide priest who can do this kind of yajna. They should be able to chant the mantras properly. They should be able to know the sequence of mantras very properly. They themselves should be very hygienic and they should be very pure. It's very difficult to find such people in Kali Yuga. Secondly, in Kali Yuga, everything is adulterated. You will not find pure ghee, you will not find pure milk, you will not find pure water. Nothing is pure actually, everything is adulterated. So, very simple example you can also relate to. When you go and try to buy ghee for your yajna, many places they will ask you what kind of yajna you are doing, or for what purpose you are wanting to buy the ghee. They will ask this question because there are varieties of ghee. For certain things you will get a ghee for 150 rupees also. 150 rupees per whatever gram or whatever it is. But if you want to really do something which requires pure ghee, then you will go to 700 kg, 700 rupees, 800 rupees. So you can see that there is so much of adulteration. So doing yajna is very difficult in Kali Yuga. But it is all described in the Karma Kanda of Vedas. Second thing people do also is to acquire wealth. So people do Mahalakshmi Puja. They do once every Friday, or there is some once in a month Fridays they do. People do a lot of Lakshmi Puja also. Maybe regularly they are doing it. So why they do this is because they want to acquire wealth, and then they want to live a little bit of a happy life. That is why they also want to do. third thing they want to do, these activities which is described in the Karma Kanda, is to go to heaven. Okay? But now why people want to go to heaven? There is also a reason behind it. Because in heaven there is a different kind of rasa. So we have studied the rasa that is there in the Parthiva area, which is in this material world. Heaven is also in the material world. This material world has many, we say 14 planetary systems, right? So the earthly planetary system is in the middle. Above it is Swargalok, then Tapalok, Maharlok, and then Brahmalok, which is the topmost planet. And then below this is a lot of other planets are there. So people generally want to go towards the heavenly planet, Swargalok we say. Why? Because they want to taste the Swarga rasa. Now why they want to taste it? First reason is because we are tired of the Parthiva rasa here. We know it is flickering in nature, it is temporary, it fades away very quickly. Eventually it leads to misery. We know this, we have experience of that. So we want to go to the higher rasa. Yes. So that's one of the reasons why people want to go to Swargalok. For that also there are some yagnas, like Agni Stoma yagna or Jyoti Stoma yagna. There are many yagnas like that. These are described in the Vedas. Now, in the heaven, there is also something similar to alcohol here. You know, what we call alcohol here, there is something similar to that in Swarga also. It is called Soma rasa. Okay, like you would have heard about a lot of stories, kathas of Indradev and so on. He is drinking Soma rasa. That Soma rasa has very special qualities. So you can relate to it. In the material world, in the Parthiv area, we have also alcohol, but it has many side effects. Like once a person drinks alcohol, he can lose his, mental abilities, goes into delusion, can talk nasty things, can have lot of side effects after that. Will lose control of the senses also. Like once you drink alcohol, you cannot actually drive, right? But in the Soma rasa, which is in the Swarga, it's not like that. You can drink as much as you want. It does not hamper your body at all. And it also doesn't have any bad smell. Like you have bad smell in the alcohol, in the earthly region. There is no such bad smell in the Soma rasa. So that is also one of the reasons that when people go there, they want to experience this kind of Soma rasa. One of the reasons is that. So what's the difference between the two? Swargya rasa is very long-lived. The Parthiva rasa here is short-lived. The opposite is very long-lived in Swargya rasa. In Parthiva rasa it fades away soon. There it does not fade away very soon. It lasts for very long time. And then here every rasa actually ends in misery. We feel that it is rasa, but it actually ends in misery. So eventually it's not rasa to begin with. But there it doesn't end in misery. In Swarga Loka. So that's why people would want to go there. Again, because we as human beings or Jivatmas, we always want rasa. We want to go towards higher rasa platforms. But that does not mean that I am now promoting you to go to, that we should all plan to go to Swarga Loka. This is not what I am promoting here. But this is what is given in the Vedas. Vedas also tell us what are the disadvantages of going to Swarga Loka. That is also mentioned. So there are actually 4 disadvantages. The first disadvantage which is given is competition. In Swargalok also there is tremendous competition. Aren't we already tired in the Parthiv area, in the material world, in this earthly realm itself of competition? Who likes competition in the material world? It is very terrifying. It is very tiring. It becomes very disgusting after a while. People play all kinds of politics when it comes to competition. But the same thing goes on also in Swargalok. And we have kathas also on this. So for example, once Vishwamitra Muni, he was performing tapasya. He was doing very severe penances. Now Indra, he is the king of the heaven, right? So he is the demigod, he is the king of the heaven. He becomes very anxious because he wants to be the king of the heaven forever. And whenever he sees somebody doing tapasya, he thinks that he becomes very insecure. Because through that tapasya, that person can overpower Indra and take away the kingdom. So he sends Rambha and Menaka, if you recall this story. to Vishwamitra Muni to disturb his penance. So this is a competition, example of competition. Second example of competition is, even a similar thing happens with Narayana Rishi. They are also doing penances, and Indra sends Durvashi to them also to disturb their penances. So this is the competition example we have. Second example is envy. There in Swargaloka also we experience envy. There is lot of envy. So there is a katha that comes in Shastra, that there is a competition between Vasuki and Vayu. Vayu Dev and Vasuki, that who is stronger, who is more powerful. Now Vayu Dev is everywhere, right? So he overhears this, that there is some sort of a talk going on, and he wants to prove that he is stronger. So he is ready for the challenge. The challenge has been set. The rules of the challenge are set. So the rule is that Vasuki has to curl himself around the Meru mountain, and then Vayudev has to blow the wind. Is it better now? Better now? Is it better now? So the rules of the game was, or the competition was, or whatever the exhibition of strength was, that Vasuki will be curling around the Meru mountain very tightly, and Vayudev has to blow him away through his power, because he is Vayudev, right? He has to blow. And so the competition begins, and Vayudev is trying very, very hard, and Vasuki has curled himself very tightly to the Meru mountain, and he is not getting blown away. So Vayudev tries very, very hard, and it's not working. Finally, the Meru mountain is also a personality, right? The mountain is also a personality. He is actually feeling the pain of that tight curl done by the Vasuki. So he goes to Brahmaji and says, Brahmaji, you please solve this problem, because I am suffering because of these two people. They are trying to prove that I am strong, he is strong. They are trying to prove, but I am suffering in between. So Brahmaji comes and he tries to settle the matter. He says, okay, forget about this. Don't do all these things. So then, this is an example of envy. Just to extend the example, what happens next is that when the Vasuki, he loosens himself, actually the Meru mountain, that chunk of the Meru mountain actually falls off. And it goes to the Lanka area, what we have currently today. And this is where the Lanka was formed. So even it's mentioned in the Shastras that the people of Lanka at that time also, now I am not sure, but at that time they were very envious in nature. Because the origin of that Lanka itself, the Lanka area itself, was founded on this envy which was there between two personalities. So this is how envy is also there in the Swargaloka. Then there is also decay. The body also in Swargaloka decays, but it takes a very long time. Okay. In Swargaloka, all the Jivatmas, the living entities, have special qualities. They are all called as demigods. They have special qualities. For example, their body, their eyes don't blink. They don't blink at all. Their eyes don't blink at all. Of all the demigods who are there in the Swargaloka. Secondly, they don't walk on the ground. They walk a little bit, above the ground. Third thing, when they wear garlands, right, their garlands will not fade away. That is one of the characteristics. And they have an effulgent body. Their body has effulgence. So these are the four characteristics of a body of the demigod in the Swargaloka. However, and their life is very, very long, like it's thousands of years they will live. From that angle, and the fact that we live max 100 years in the Parthiv area, from that angle, the life in the Swargaloka is very, very high, right? It's almost like we feel we are not dying at all. The demigods are not dying, but they also die at certain point, or they leave their body at certain point. So what happens there is, when they have completed their stay in the Swargaloka, that particular demigod, will start blinking their eyes towards the end of their stay. Their body will start smelling, their garlands will start fading, and they will start, little bit they will be closer to the ground. Earlier they were above the ground. Let's say, for an example, if they were 1 inch above the ground, now they will be 0.5 inch above the ground, which indicates that their life is going to end. And it is also mentioned in the Shastras that nobody actually dies in the Swargaloka, because the moment this end stage is coming, they are transported to some other area, some other region of the material world. So technically, nobody is dying in the Swargaloka, but in one sense they are also dying in the Swargaloka, because they are moved out of the Swargaloka and they are eventually going to die. So there also decay of the body is happening. And of course the fourth thing is the death, the actual death will happen. So now we have studied, people are tired of the Parthiva rasa, which we have studied, the rasa in the material, in the earthly realm. We have also studied the rasa in the Swargaloka, the Swargiya rasa we have studied now. Even though the rasa is there, it is better than the Parthiva rasa, but eventually the person has to leave the body there also, and we have a lot of problems there. We have envy, competition, decay and death. There also it is there. So now what do we do? As humans, as Jivatmas, we still want to go to the next level, right? So there is a second khanda which is talked in Vedas, which is called the Jnana khanda, or Jnana division. It's a called division called Jnana. Jnana means knowledge. And the goal or the purpose of that Jnana khanda is to achieve peace and liberation. Okay. In the Parthiva rasa and Swargiya rasa, we have tried everything, but we still are not very happy. So after trying everything, we want to now, we have come to a point where we say, I don't want either of these things, I want peace. I just want peace. I don't want anything else. And then there is a subsequent outcome of that is also that people will get liberation. So that is the goal of Jnana khanda, or anything that we do in Jnana khanda. So where is this place where the Jivatma wants to go once you acquire a lot of knowledge and so on? That place is called Brahman. There is a region which is not there in the material world. It's beyond the material world. It's called Brahman region. And that Brahman region is actually created because of the effulgence that comes from Krishna's body. So Krishna's body gives effulgence. It's called Brahma Jyoti. And that Brahma Jyoti forms that Brahman area. So Jnanis, what they try to do is that they try to accumulate a lot of knowledge, and they will then eventually transport themselves to that Brahman area to experience the Brahma rasa. Whatever rasa that they experience there is called Brahma rasa. So we have seen Parthiva rasa, we have seen Swarga rasa, we are now seeing the Brahma rasa. What happens there is that the living entity, is sitting in that Brahma rasa or the Brahman area. He is not merged with the Brahman area, because the living entity always has its own identity. They never merge. But it is staying there, it is floating around in that Brahman region. And very peaceful. There is nothing there. There is no happiness there. There is no distress also there. Nothing is there. But there is a lot of peace. So the living entity will live there for crores and crores of billions of years, because it's in the material. It's not in the material world. It's beyond the material world. It's little bit part of the spiritual world. So he is living there. But at certain point, that Jivatma gets very bored, because he is not getting nothing. There is nothing there. He is getting peace. He was tired of all this competition, envy, everything. He was tired. So he went to that area to get peace. He gets enough peace. There is nobody to talk to. There is no kirtan going on. Nothing is going on. All living entities are just staying there without any interaction with each other, and there is nothing much. After maybe billions and billions of years spending the time there, they start feeling bored. That okay, I am not getting. So far, I have experienced peacefulness. That is also a rasa. And actually going and staying there is also one form of liberation. There are many different kinds of liberation, moksha. This is also called one form of moksha, where a living entity, a Jivatma can go and stay there for very, very long time. It's unimaginable long time. They can stay there. But the problem there is that after a while when they start feeling bored, they cannot go further beyond, because there is spiritual world starts beyond that Brahman Loka or Brahman area. The actual spiritual world starts, which is called Vaikuntha Loka. Above that there is the Krishna Loka, which is Krishna's personal platform, personal planet. But they cannot go to that area, to that actual Vaikuntha world or spiritual world. Why? Because these Jivatmas, they are all Jnanis. They have never developed the love for Lord Krishna. They are Jnanis. They are always into this kind of, mental speculation and always thinking. They are using their brain power, whatever brain power, mind power they have. They try to accumulate knowledge. They do a lot of tapasya. They are very pure people also. Because going to the Brahman area is not simple. It requires a lot of tapasya. Very hard tapasya they do. But the fact that they have never developed the love for Krishna, they cannot go beyond that. Beyond the Brahman area, which is, Vaikuntha planets and Krishna Loka. Because there is no entry there. For example, we have big colleges, the IITs, US we have MITs and Haralur and so on. If I go and stand in front of IIT, will they allow me entry into that? They will never allow me entry into IIT or MIT. Unless I am qualified. I have to prove my qualification. So similarly, if I have never developed love for Krishna, why will I get entry into the spiritual world, which is above this Brahman area? I will never get, because I have never developed that love for Krishna. Now I am stuck in that Brahman area where I have not developed love for Krishna, so I cannot go further out. And I am deeply bored, deeply unsatisfied now. Because the nature of the Jivatma is to interact with people, to interact with other Jivatma. That's the nature. That's where it seeks Ananda. In the Brahman area there is no Ananda also, because there is no interaction going on. So it cannot go up, the Jivatma cannot go up. He is bored in staying in that area. So what is the option then? He has to fall down. That's the only option. Because he says, okay, at least going to the lower planetary regions or in the material world is better, because at least I can fight with somebody. I can have something with somebody. Okay, so they have no option, they actually enter into the material world again. So they would have experienced some Brahma Rasa. So we have studied three kinds of rasas, right? Now, the Vedas talk about the third kanda, or third division, which is called Upasana Kanda, or Upasana Kanda, Upasana division. Here the goal is to actually love Krishna, or love the Supreme Personality of God. So what all things are described here is that we do all the activities which is pleasing to Krishna, pleasing to Lord Vishnu, or any of the incarnations of Krishna, like, Narasimhadev, Ram, Lord Ram, Varadev, so many incarnations are there from Lord Krishna, Balaramji. So we want to please them. That's the goal of Upasana Kanda. And this is what we do. So for example, all of us have assembled here to learn something about Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by Lord Krishna. Right? We are actually engaging in a Upasana Kanda right now. All of us. When we do, before this Bhagavad Gita class, we were doing so many artis, right? Tulsi Arti, Narasimha Arti, Gaura Arti. That is also Upasana Kanda. It's an activity of Upasana Kanda. Because we are trying to give pleasure to the Lord. We are singing for the Lord's pleasure. Right? All the devotees of the Lord. So Tulsi Devi is devotee of the Lord. So when we are singing Tulsi Arti and circumambulating Tulsi Ji, we are actually giving pleasure to the devotee of the Lord. Tulsi Ji is the very staunch devotee of Lord Krishna. So this is called Upasana Kanda. Whatever activity we do in spiritual matters, that comes under the Upasana Kanda. Many things, like we prepare bhoga for offerings, right? At home we prepare bhoga, we offer it to Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. That is an activity. We offer flowers, we offer incense sticks. We go to Dharma, we visit temples of Lord Vishnu. That is all under Upasana Kanda, Upasana activities. So this is also, and why are we saying this, or why does Veda prescribe this? Is because again, we want some rasa. What is the rasa that we get in this Upasana Kanda? That is called Prema Rasa. That is the highest kind of rasa that we can ever experience. And this rasa is something that will never go down. All the qualities of rasa that we have seen in the Parthiv region, in the Swarga region, Swargya rasa, or in the Brahma rasa, none of these qualities are there in the Prema rasa. Prema rasa is like, it's ever increasing. You can never get bored of singing Gaur Aarti or chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. You never get bored. Like you can never chant a Bollywood song for the rest of your life. It's not possible. But you can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra for the rest of your life. You will never get bored. And the more you chant, the more your body becomes, what you can say, pure, the more pleasure you will get out of that chanting. So people might be hearing Vishnu Sahasranam, right? Do we ever get bored of hearing Vishnu Sahasranam? Never. We will never get bored. In fact, every morning, let's say whoever is listening, they will feel very energized. They will feel very calm and composed, because it has that effect. Because it's in the spiritual platform. It's a upasana point. So this is what, and the rasa that we derive out of that is called prema rasa. Although we don't experience prema rasa at our level, because in Bhakti also there are 9 ladders. Prema is the topmost ladder. We start at the very ground level, where we have this sadhu sangha. There are many levels are there. One of the biggest level is anartha nivrutti level. Anartha means all kinds of bad habits that we may have. Nivrutti means to come out of that habits. So anartha nivrutti level is the strongest level, where most of the living entities will get stuck for a very, very long time. Because we have many, many bad habits. And we have been living in this material world for God knows how much time. So it's all up to us to cross that anartha nivrutti stage as faster or as slow as possible. It's up to us. And then, there is coming nishtha, ruchi, bhava and prema. Prema is the topmost. So there is a katha in Bhagavatam of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj was at the prema level. At the bhava level. And from his name only we got this name of Bharat Varsha. Our name of the country is Bharat Varsha, is coming from Bharat Maharaj. So he was a very, very strong devotee of Lord Krishna. Very wealthy king, but very strong devotee of Lord Krishna. He gives away everything. He was literally owning the entire universe. He was the king of the entire universe. It's not like one city or one country, not like that. The entire universe he was the king. But he gives away everything because he is a very strong devotee of Lord Krishna. He only wants to serve Lord Krishna. But there is an incident that happens while he is living in the forest, that there is a mother deer who is going to give birth to a baby deer, and during that birth period some incident happens and the mother deer dies and the baby deer gets born. So now the Bharat Maharaj sees this incident and he thinks that who will take care of this deer? The baby deer. He thinks that he will take care of it. He forgets that Krishna can take care of that baby deer also, because Krishna takes care of everybody. Krishna takes care of the ant also, right? Or the squirrel. Do we ever take care of the squirrel? The squirrel roams around here and there to get the food. Who is providing the food for squirrel? We are not providing it. Through nature, Krishna is providing the food for the squirrel. Bharat Maharaj forgets this. He thinks that, I will take care of this baby deer. Also because the deers are very cute. So he thinks that, but he is still very, he is cognizant that he should not get attached to the deer, because then he can have a fall down. But he gets too attached, wherever he is going, the deer is also coming, small deer, he is doing some tapasya homa, the deer is also sitting next to him. So he gradually gets attached to that deer. And what happens is he goes to an extent that he actually starts forgetting Krishna. At that age, at that level, where he is at the bhava level, it's just one level below prema. He is experiencing that prema rasa of Krishna Bhakti. Because there is not much difference between bhava and prema. It's very thin line. And eventually what happens is, he actually, when he dies, he gets the next birth as a deer. Because he forgets Krishna. And he is completely absorbed in the deer mindset. He is always remembering deer. When he dies, he is also remembering deer. So he gets the name, next body is deer, which also Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Anta kale chamam. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that in the anta time, at the time of your death, whatever you remember, you will get the same body in the next one. So he gets the body of the deer, but because he is a very strong personality, he knows and also by Krishna's mercy, he recalls his previous birth, that he was a king, he was very advanced devotee of Lord Krishna, and he repents a lot. So this Kahani is there, this Katha is there. So, and then gopis are the examples of the prema rasa. Gopis are the best, the topmost devotees of Lord Krishna. They are always in the prema rasa. We are not. We are not at that level, but we can go to that level. So now I will stop here. This is the context that I want to set for the verses of verse number 31 through 37, which we will speak more in the next class. But I wanted to set a context to it, because the next class will then take up from this context or this background. Any questions that you may have, which I can answer, or any comment or any feedback.
Sir, this may be a bad question, but don't think of it. So now we are experiencing, we are in this material world and everything, right? And let's say we attained, we went to the next level, which is Svadharma rasa. At that time, do we remember whatever we did in this level?
Mostly not. Unless it's a mercy of Lord Krishna. I mean, there are a lot of examples that people come in their next birth and they remember their previous birth. There are a lot of documented examples. But it is really a mercy of Lord Krishna only.
But only when it is a rebirth time, you may remember, but it is not when you attain the next levels or when we want to.
It can be at any level. Okay. It's all mercy of Lord Krishna. And it is you have to think this as a mercy, because even remembering our past life is actually very traumatic in nature. It's very traumatic, because let's say you remember your past life. Now you will not know which life you are living. Right? It's very traumatic. So it's actually a mercy of Lord Krishna not to allow us to remember the past life. But sometimes he also gives that, in the example of Bharat Maharaj, when he became a deer, he actually remembered his entire past life. And he was repenting. So much repenting. But Krishna gave him that remembrance because he wanted to tell Bharat Maharaj that you did a mistake. But not everybody has that mercy, and probably not everybody should have that mercy. Because if you see two lives in one body, now you will get very confused and traumatized. So normally we will not remember. But also in the Shastras, in the Bhagavatam, it's given when the baby is taking birth, it actually remembers. Not the previous birth, I don't know the exact details, but it always remembers that he doesn't want to take birth again. The baby remembers this, and the baby, when the baby is born, is at an advanced stage, just before the birth, the baby actually prays to Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu that he doesn't want to take birth again. Because the baby goes through so much pain in the womb of the mother. This is very, very descriptively, vividly described in Bhagavatam, in one of the volumes of Bhagavatam. Because they feel a lot of pain, there are a lot of insects in the womb, it bites, then they are passing on stool in the womb, they are living inside the same stool. And once the baby grows, the space is very compact. It has to, very distressing situation for the baby to live in that, and it's all black. Yeah. So the baby at some point prays that I will not want to take birth again. He prays, literally prays. But what happens is when the baby comes out, there are so many relatives around that they will say, they will start taking the baby and all those things. The baby immediately forgets that it was in so much pain in the womb. And then the baby goes into the Maya. This cycle continues. Any other question? Okay, if no further question, then we'll spend some time to chant. We chant loudly, or should I play the Prabhupada? We chant, no? Okay, before chanting, it's recommended that we chant the Panchatattva mantra. The reason for that is, Panchatattva mantra are the 5 Panchatattvas. You see on the lower left photo. On the altar you see the lower left photo. There are 5 personalities. No, on the altar, in the altar. So here you see the 5 personalities. These are 5 tattvas, 5 pancha. That's why we call pancha tattvas. There are 5 personalities. They are very merciful. They are more merciful than Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna doesn't forgive very easily. If you make a mistake, he will not forgive us very easily. But these personalities are very merciful. So before we chant a round on the beads, we actually chant their pranam mantra or their panchatattva mantra. So the mantra is like this, and it is 5 names basically. So Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we have chanted these 5 personalities' name, and Gaura Bhakta Vrinda means all the devotees, right? And then we will chant the first beat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna devotee. Hare Krishna. So devotees, this is how we chant, right? Right now we are doing a congregational chanting. We are all chanting together. So the speed is little low or less. But at home when we chant individually, we can go a little faster. So normally the chanting, one round of the mantra in the beats normally takes 7.5 minutes to 8 minutes. So we recommend everyone we are encouraging to chant at least one round every single day in the morning before you start any work. Before you go to office or whatever you do, student or whatever, chant at least one round of this Hare Krishna mantra. It takes hardly 8 minutes. And it will protect you for the entire day. No, it's like a kavach. You wear a kavach in front. Because when we go into the Maya world, there is a lot of problems. So we want to protect ourselves. Okay? So thank you everyone. And now we will have some announcements.
Hare Krishna. Let's loudly chant one time. Hare Krishna mantra. Svadharma by nectar. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Anybody first time visiting today? Can you please stand up? Keep that. Nyash.